Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Easter. Thank you. This past week, there was an op-ed run in the New York Times entitled, "New York's Hottest Club is the Catholic Church." Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Last night here at the Easter Vigil, we had a bigger party than I think they had going on down the road at Summit. We did a wedding here at midnight last night. Ain't no party like a Catholic party, because a Catholic party never stops. Please don't write the bishop saying that I opened my Easter homily riffing on a P. Diddy song. But there's a lot of talk right now out there that maybe there's a resurgence or a revival of sorts. People are interested in Christianity maybe in a new way today. I don't know if that's true or not. As a priest, I certainly hope it's true. But also as a priest, every single day, I get to witness how in individual people's lives, God is still at work. The numbers ultimately are not the most important thing. But at the same time, I am amazed how Sunday after Sunday this place fills up. I've been amazed at our Holy Week liturgies, the number of people who have participated in them, the number of people that came to confession on Friday and Saturday, the number of people who entered the church last night and will enter the church over this upcoming week. I'm amazed at the number of people in this church right now. We have 2 masses going on in this church right now, and it's standing room only. Thank you if you're standing there in the back. But for the sake of argument, let's say that there is a revival happening right now. That there is this newfound or refound interest in Christianity happening in our world right now. Why might that be? Why might it be that people are, in 2026 of all times, still interested in the Christian message? I think it's this. The church is the only thing in your life right now that is telling you that you can have hope. The church is the only thing in your life right now that is telling you that you can have hope. And for 2,000 years, with all of its warts and all of its scars notwithstanding, this is the message that has rung down throughout the centuries. This is the message that is ringing in our ears this morning. You see, ours is not a time that is too dissimilar from previous times in history, but ours is a time that is uniquely our own. And ours is a day and age in which I think a lot of people have a burning question in their minds and on their hearts. And that question is this: it's a question of meaning. Is there anything more to my life than just what I see? Many years ago, the Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy posed the question this way. He asked, "Is there any meaning to my life that my inevitable death will not destroy?" Just last month, a Gallup poll showed that a record low number of Americans believe that they will have a high standard of living in 5 years. 2 years ago, the CDC reported that 40% of American teenagers say that they suffer from a persistent sense of hopelessness and sadness. But you and me, we have a message of hope. And we can have hope. And why? Because he is risen. He is risen indeed. This message that went from that empty tomb on that Sunday Easter morning 2,000 years ago and is being told to us again this morning is the source of your hope, and it is the source of my hope. Why? Because if God can take something like that, the crucifix, and turn it into a resurrection, what can he not do? If Jesus got up and walked out of his tomb, it tells me that everything is going to be okay. There is not a problem that stands outside of you, such as war or disease or injustice, or a problem that sits inside of you like loneliness and fear and anxiety that God is looking at and wondering if there's going to be a happy ending to it. There's not a tear that will not be wiped clean. There's no disease that will have the final word. There is no weapon that will not be silenced. There's no injustice that will not be made right. There's no relationship drama in your life or in your family that will not be able to find healing. Why? Because Jesus has risen from the dead, and Jesus is our hope. And with each one of the crosses that we bear and each one of the tombs that we find ourselves stuck in, Jesus is standing with us, and he's yelling at you this morning, the worst thing is never the last thing. We can have hope. Now, you might be sitting there looking at me and saying, Father, thanks for the pep talk, but is it true? Can I really believe that a Middle Easterner's death 2,000 years ago and then his resurrection from the dead has some bearing on my life here today in 2026? Well, you see, the Christian faith, our Christian faith, does not stand. It does not stand just on the quality of our words. It does not stand on just the strength of our ideas. Rather, our Christian faith, it rises or it falls on the reality of the events that we say we believe in. C.S. Lewis put it this way: if untrue, Christianity is of no importance. But if true, Christianity is of infinite importance. The only thing Christianity cannot be is moderately important. You see, those women who approached that tomb on that first Easter morning, they were not credulous religious fanatics. They were grieving women who were expecting a stench coming from that tomb. But then they saw something. They encountered something. And they took that message of what they saw and what they encountered, and they spread it. They told it to Jesus' other disciples, and they came, like we heard in our gospel today, and they saw for themselves, and they encountered. And this is the message of what they saw and encountered that has been ringing down throughout the centuries and is once again ringing in our ears today. And what they saw and what they encountered, it changed them, but it also went on to change the world. If we choose to not believe in the historical reality of the resurrection, then we will have to find another way to explain how a motley crew of poor Jewish peasants were able to change the world. But the biggest decisions we make in life are not made just by surveying the cold, hard facts. You did not marry your spouse because of just some left-brain reasoning alone. No, rather, you made a decision based on something deeper, something inside of you, something that told you that it was true. And I think that if we look inside of our own lives, we can begin to see evidence for Jesus' resurrection. The author Cormac McCarthy, in his novel The Road, tells the story of a father and a son who are living in a post-apocalyptic world. Sensing that the end is near, the father finds a place to rest. And as he does, and his son sleeps, he's just looking at his son and he's weeping. We learn that the father is not weeping because of the prospect of death. He's not entirely sure why he's weeping, but he thinks. He thinks it has something to do with goodness and beauty. That goodness and beauty are the source of his tears. Look, I sit with a lot of people who are asking that all too familiar question, that very human question, why is there so much bad in our world? And why so often does it seem like that badness intersects with my own life? And that's a legitimate question to pose. But I think a more important question, a more pressing question for us to ask is, why is there so much goodness in our world? Why is there so much beauty in our world? Or at the very least, why do I desire goodness and beauty so much? Why do I desire that death yields to life? Why is it that I have a desire that war yields to peace? Why is it that I desire that despair yields to hope? It would make no sense for us to have a desire for a non-existent thing. No, you see, the desire that's in us for goodness and beauty and for life is God's way of telling us we were made for these things. And our God has made a way for these things because he transformed his own death into newness of life for all of us. But brothers and sisters, our faith is not just one about ideas. It is not enough just to think about Jesus risen from the dead. No, Jesus is not just an idea. He is just not a thought. He is a person that we are invited to encounter. Like those women in their grief who were met by hope at that empty tomb. Like those two disciples on the road to Emmaus, having thought that the whole Christian thing was a mess and was good for nothing. The first fallen away Christians, hope in the person of Jesus meets them on that road in their questions. Like Peter, stuck for hours by now in his shame, having denied Jesus 3 times. Hearing about the empty tomb, he runs to it. Is there hope for me? And hope meets him in the person of Jesus Christ. And that person of Jesus, he wants to meet you in your grief. He wants to meet you in your questions. And he wants to meet you in your shame. Family, I'm going to encourage us to not let this Easter hope die in us. There's a lot out there that would like to deaden it in us. Tomorrow morning is Monday again. And with it comes all of the stuff that we have to contend against over the course of our daily lives. But can I see every part of my life now from the vantage point of an empty tomb? And so begin to see every part of my life through the lens of hope. That the worst thing in this life is never the last thing. I'll leave you with this. A couple of years ago, a lifelong friend of mine got married. Her dad was unable to go to her wedding because he was on his deathbed, nearing the end of his battle with cancer. But he had someone write down his father of the bride speech that he dictated, and then had it read at the reception. And I will never forget the words that he chose to begin his speech with. The same words we sung this morning in our responsorial psalm. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. These are Easter words, and these are the words that are meant to be running through your head at all times. Because the Lord has found a way this day and every day to give us hope.